parts 1 and 2, which had Hummon users and vampires and pillar men, they had to find a unique workaround with the limitations they had. No,
Oh, the character.
characters. They had to find ways around powers, and for the matter of villains would have to find ways to counter this. It's basically a more action-oriented sort of chess game, where you need to predict your opponent's movements almost 5 steps ahead of time. Again, it's where part 3, where this sort of idea really ramps up. So, for example, the character of Steely Dan.
His name's Steely Dan.
Yeah, every character in JoJo is, well, most of them. Most of them are references to musicians, or
Right.
and even the stands names in part 4, from part 4 then onward, are all named after songs or bands.
Yeah.
So Steely Dan has the stand The Lovers, named after the tarot card.
Yeah.
And what it does is,
Do they all have tarot cards?
no, the stands are named after the tarot cards.
Yeah. Okay, so they all are, right.
Yeah. So The Lovers, it's a small stand. It's entered one of the Stardust Crusader's ears, Joseph Joestar. It's gotten in his ear, and when Jotaro tries to attack Steely Dan, that damage is shared between Steely Dan and...
Right, because lovers, 2 people.
Well, yeah, because Steely Dan is one of the many villains, and the villains all have reversed tarot cards, so they have the opposite of what of the upright version. So the Lovers in this case is meant to be about relationships. In this, these can be platonic, business, or again, a pair of lovers. In this case, it's the reverse, and it basically forces the individual into a sort of toxic relationship where Steely Dan can't be hit by Jotaro.
But he can hit Jotaro.
Yes,
Right, so
and
yeah.
well, and for that matter, he doesn't even fight Jotaro, because if anything touches Dan, and in fact even small bits of damage, like a kid smacking him on the leg, will feel like someone has broken Joseph's leg.
Right.
Because
could he not just purposely hurt himself so that Joe gets hurt?
No, because the damage transfer is lessened for Dan, whereas for Joseph it is worsened. And the other Stardust Crusaders basically have to run around using their own stand, trying to find out what the ability even is first off, and at the same time Steely Dan is taking the piss and mocking Jotaro, using him as a bridge, or forcing him to commit theft and then get beaten up for it, that sort of thing. And the real fight is with Joseph Joestar needing to use his Hermit Purple, which is a stand that allows him to use what's called spirit photography, to look inside his own head and find out what is going on up there. They find the Lovers, and then 2 other stand users, Kakyoin and Polnareff, need to shrink their stands to be
able to go in there and fight it.
To go in fighting it. Mind you, they're also in a situation where too much collateral damage will result in
killing them,
Joseph getting lobotomized, basically. And so, yeah. And other fights across the series do very similar stuff.
Why could that not be done in live action though?
Well, it could.
Yeah, but if your thing is comparing live action and animation, what's the unique aspect there that animation has over live action?
Well, the unique aspect in this case is well, I wouldn't say it's unique aspect. I'd rather just say it's one is better. Animation is better at doing flashy presentation.
Yeah, it's more like zany, I guess. Like
And
you have more
it's
crazy.
better to exaggerate reality, whereas live action is better at making me more subdued or relaxed.
So like your video essay is going to be about how the animation there.
How
While you could do both of them, why that's the better option and why it's done like this. Whereas for something like a serious drama, it would make less sense to do animation because you're not exaggerating everything as much and you want
Yeah.
to keep things different.
I've really got a jet drink.